Good morning, children. Myself, Hema Marwa, your chemistry teacher, is here again to teach you the chapter 3 in chemistry for class 7 titled Elements, Compounds and Mixtures. This PowerPoint presentation is referred under the book titled Essential ICSE Chemistry for Class 7. So let us start taking the main topics of the chapter. Children, everything is ultimately made up of elements, and two or more elements may chemically combine to form a compound. But everything that we come across in the nature is not necessarily a pure element or a pure compound, or you can say the pure substances. Then how we can distinguish that this substance is pure substance or it is impure substance? So this is the thing to be known to our students. So let us start. What are pure substances? A pure substance is one that cannot be split. That cannot be split means that cannot be break down into simpler substances by physical means such as filtration, sublimation or distillation. Now, point to be noted is elements and compounds are pure substances. Means, in other words, they cannot be split into simpler substances by a physical means. For example, taking some example of elements: hydrogen, boron, carbon. Taking one example of compound: calcium oxide. All are the examples of pure substances. So I repeat, for example, hydrogen, boron, carbon, calcium, oxide, etc. are examples of pure substances. Now I have shown the diagram of pure substances that in my discussion just now I told you the substances are categorized into two types: pure substances and impure substances. So under the pure substances in chemistry we have elements and compounds, and then we will study about mixtures. Mixtures, they come in the category of impure substances, and they are of two types: homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures. Children, now we will know what is an element. An element is a substance that cannot be split into simpler substances by a chemical means. I repeat, an element is a substance that cannot be split into simpler substances by a chemical means. Remember that a substance which cannot be split by a chemical means cannot be broken down by a simple physical means either. This means, suppose there is a substance which cannot be split by taking any chemical method, then no physical method can be applied to make it break down into simpler substances. Now, point to be noted is elements are represented by symbols. I repeat, elements are represented by symbols. Now how the symbols are formed? Symbols of an element consist of either the first or the first and the one more letter of English or Latin name of the element. We will take it in the further slides. So let us remember the important point. The symbol of an element represents one atom of the element. I repeat, the symbol of an element represents one atom of the element. For example, that you know in the class 6, the symbol of hydrogen element is H. So when you are writing capital H, you are representing only one atom of the element hydrogen. So let us take the symbols of certain elements and how they are being represented. So elements are represented by symbols. The elements of an element consist of either the first and one more letter of English name or Latin name of the element. Some examples of elements with first letter of the element are as follows. Hydrogen. Hydrogen is represented by capital H. Boron. Boron is represented by capital B. Carbon. Carbon is represented by capital C. Nitrogen. Nitrogen is represented by capital N. So here you find that the chemical symbol is formed by the very first letter. In hydrogen, the very first letter is H. In boron, first letter is B. Same way in the nitrogen, the first letter is N, and in the carbon, the first letter is C. So some example of elements with first letter along with one more letter of the English name of an element. So in the chemistry, we used to have one more pattern of symbols of element. What is this? In this category, we include the first letter, and with first letter, we take one more letter of the English name. Okay. Say for example, helium. In case of helium, because helium and hydrogen, both of them, they have the common letter H. But so in case of helium, we cannot consider the chemical symbol of as H. So here we will include one more letter, that is E. So the symbol of helium is He. Symbol of calcium is Ca, because calcium and carbon, both of them will start with the capital letter C. So in case of calcium, the second letter will also be included, that is Ca. Neon. Neon, the chemical symbol is Ne. Same way the chromium, it has Cr. Here the third letter is being taken. So it is not necessary that the second letter is only taken. The first letter along with it one more letter. Okay. So nickel, Ni, the chemical symbol is Ni. Cobalt, the chemical symbol is Co. So this is being given in the tabular format in the books also. You have to learn it by heart. Now, in this PPT, we will take certain examples of the element which consist of one or two letters of the Latin name of an element. So, I have shown the English name of the element. Then in the second column, Latin name of the element is being represented, followed by the symbol of the concerned element. Say for example, sodium. Sodium is the English name of the element sodium. Its Latin name is natrium. From the Latin name, the symbol is being formed. So first two letters, that is Na, are being considered as symbol of the element sodium. So potassium, Latin name is calcium, and the symbol is capital K. Iron, Latin name is ferrum, and symbol is Fe. Copper, Latin name is cuprum, symbol is Cu. Silver, Latin name is argentum. So symbol is Ag, first letter and the third letter. Tin, the Latin name is stannum, the symbol is Sn. Gold, Latin name is aurum, and the symbol is Au. Lead, Latin name is plumbum, and the symbol is Pp. Mercury, the Latin name is hydrogyrum, and symbol is Hg. So here whatever symbols are being represented, you have to learn it by heart, and in the same format, that first letter is in uppercase, that is in the capital letter. If the second letter is in the small case, that is in the small letter. In the same manner, you have to learn it by heart. Now we will be aware about molecules of elements. Molecules of element. An atom does not generally exist independently. That we all of us have covered in class 6, that an atom does not generally exist independently. So it may combine with other atoms of same element to form a molecule, which is termed as molecule of an element, or you can say molecule of concerned element. Say for example, in case of hydrogen, two atoms of hydrogen may combine to give you one molecule of hydrogen, that is H2. Okay, so here two atoms of hydrogen will combine and they will give you one molecule of the element hydrogen, which is being represented by the chemical formula H2. Hence, point to be noted is a molecule is capable of independent existence. Secondly, a molecule of an element is represented by a formula which indicates how many atoms of the element have combined to form it. I repeat, a molecule of an element is represented by a formula which indicates how many atoms of the element have combined to form it. Taking some example of hydrogen and nitrogen, molecule of hydrogen is being represented by H2. Then this chemical symbol H2 represents two atoms are present in one molecule of hydrogen element. Same way in the case of nitrogen, molecule of nitrogen is represented by N2. This also represents the same. In other words, this also represents that two atoms of nitrogen are present in one molecule of nitrogen element. Now we will be aware about atomicity of the molecules. Number of atoms in a molecule is called the atomicity of the molecule. I repeat the definition. The number of atoms in a molecule is called the atomicity of the molecule. Point to be noted, molecules of noble gas elements are monoatomic in nature. Molecules of noble gas element which are being placed in the 8th group, they are monoatomic in nature. Molecules of hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, chlorine are diatomic. Molecules of ozone is triatomic. Molecules of phosphorus are tetraatomic, while that of sulfur is octaatomic. So these things you have to learn it by heart. Now let us take the next topic of the chapter, that is what is a compound. A compound is a substance that can be split into simpler substances by chemical means. I repeat the definition. A compound is a substance that can be split into simpler substances by chemical means. For example, taking some example of water, that you know water is formed from hydrogen and oxygen. So water is a compound and it can be split into its constituent element, that is hydrogen and oxygen. Taking other example of the compound, carbon monoxide CO, carbon dioxide CO2, sulfur dioxide SO2, sulfur trioxide SO3. So these are all substances which can be split into their simpler substances, that is called the elements, by chemical means. Now the next topic is how are compounds formed. Compounds can be formed only when two or more than two elements combine among themselves, and that combination is of course chemical. Compounds can be formed only when two or more than two elements combine among themselves. For example, carbon or sulfur, when it is burned in the oxygen, they will form carbon dioxide or sulfur dioxide. Carbon will form carbon dioxide and sulfur element will form sulfur dioxide. Same way, a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen on being kindled will form water. A mixture of hydrogen and oxygen on being kindled will form water. Now we will take the next topic, how are compounds represented. Compounds are represented by chemical formula which indicates how many atoms of which elements have combined to form a molecule of the compound. I repeat, compounds are represented by chemical formula and chemical formula indicates how many atoms of which element have combined to form a molecule of the compound. For example, molecule of water is H2O, which indicates two atoms of hydrogen combined with one atom of oxygen to form a molecule of water. Other examples, the chemical formula of sodium chloride is NaCl, chemical formula of calcium chloride is CaCl2, chemical formula of calcium oxide is CaO, and chemical formula of hydrogen chloride is HCl. Now we will take the next topic, that is characteristics of a compound. A compound can be split into its constituent elements only by chemical means and not by physical means like filtration, sublimation or distillation. Second, elements combine in a fixed proportion of their atoms to form a compound. Third, elements combine in a fixed proportion of mass to form a compound. Fourth characteristic, the properties of a compound are entirely different from those of its constituent elements. So all of the characteristics of a compound, you need to learn it by heart. Now, next topic is what is a mixture. So all of us know the mixture come in the impure category of substances. Okay, in the first slide I told you the substances, they are of two types, pure and impure. So mixtures are impure substances. Now the question comes, what is a mixture? A mixture is a substance that can be separated into two or more pure substances by a physical means such as filtration, sublimation or distillation. I repeat the definition. A mixture is a substance that can be separated into two or more pure substances by a physical means such as filtration, sublimation or distillation. The pure substances that make up a mixture are called components of mixture. Some example of the mixture are as follows: air, ordinary water, sea water, all types of soil, rocks and minerals, raw or cooked food items, milk and blood, alloys, etc. Now, next topic is what are the characteristics of mixture. In the previous slide, we covered the characteristic of compound. So, we should be aware about the characteristics of mixture also. The components of mixture may be present in it in any proportion, in any ratio. The components of a mixture coexist without chemically reacting with one another. For example, hydrogen mixes with oxygen without reacting with it in air. Okay, so in the air, you know, a number of gases are there and hydrogen and oxygen are also present in the air. So hydrogen mixes with oxygen without reacting with it in air. The components of a mixture retain their properties. The components of the mixture retain their properties. The components of a mixture can be separated by physical means. We can use any physical method, say for example of filtration, distillation, to separate the components of a mixture. Now we will take the types of mixtures. Mixtures can be classified on the basis of the state of components. Various types of mixtures on the basis of state of components are as follows. First, solid mixture, where all the components are solid in state. Second, liquid mixture, where all the components are liquid in state. Gaseous mixture, where all the components are gaseous in state. Solid liquid mixture, solid gas mixture and liquid gas mixture. On the basis of composition of mixture, mixtures are of two types: homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. Homogeneous mixture is the one which has same composition and properties throughout it. I repeat, homogeneous mixture is the one which has same composition and properties throughout it. And heterogeneous mixture is one which has different composition and properties in different parts of mixture. Now we will take the separation of components of mixtures. So how we can separate the different components of mixture and why it is being needed. Mixtures are impure substances. Hence, in order to obtain a pure or a desirable substance or to remove an undesirable substance from a mixture, we often need to separate the components of mixture. I repeat why it is needed. Mixtures are impure substances. Hence, in order to obtain a pure or a desirable substance or to remove an undesirable substance from a mixture, we often need to separate the components of a mixture. Now, point to be noted, to separate the components of a mixture, we take advantage of their characteristic properties like color, size, shape, solubility, etc. Now we will discuss the different methods of separating the components of mixture. The first method is magnetic separation. A method in which magnet is used to separate the components of a mixture is called magnetic separation. For example, if we move a magnet through a mixture of iron fillings and chalk, the iron particles attach themselves to the magnet due to their magnetic nature. Second method is evaporation. This method is used to separate a solid from its solution by evaporating the solvent. So you can evaporate the solvent. Solvent is the liquid in which solute get dissolved, and the substance which get dissolved in the solvent is called solute. Crystallization. This method involves evaporation of a solution to a stage when it changes into concentrated form followed by cooling slowly, which results in separation of crystals of the substance. Hence, it is used to obtain a substance in pure state. Now we will take the third method of separating the components of mixture. The third method to separate the different components of a mixture is dissolution and evaporation. This method is used when one component of a solid mixture is soluble in a solvent, say water, and other is not. Now next method is distillation. In this method, liquid is vaporized by boiling it and the vapors are condensed and collected separately. This process is useful in separating solid from solid liquid mixture. Solid will not evaporate, or you can say solid will not vaporize and can be separated from the mixture. Now students, I have shown the distillation through a diagram. Distillation is performed with a setup as shown in this figure. The mixture is boiled in a flask and the emerging vapors are cooled in a Lebesgue condenser and collected in a flask, or you can say here I have shown the conical flask. A Lebesgue condenser is a long tube provided with a jacket through which water is circulated for cooling the vapors in the tube. We can prepare distilled water in the laboratory by this method. So you have to draw this diagram also in your assignment copies. Now we will take the next method, that is fractional distillation. This method is used for separating liquids which differ in their boiling point by 20 degrees Celsius or more. The mixture of the liquid is boiled in a flask and the vapors are passed through a fractionating column. The vapors of liquid with a lower boiling point rise and vapors of higher boiling point condense in the bulb-like trap. Now here is a diagram of fractional distillation. This is similar to the distillation one except it has the fractionating column. So I will explain you here. The mixture of the liquid is boiled in a flask and vapors are passed through the fractionating column. The vapor of the liquid with a lower boiling point rise and the vapors of that which has higher boiling point, they will condense in the bulb like traps. You can see here in the fractionating column the bulb like, you can say, setup is there. The higher boiling liquid may also come back to the flask. The lower boiling liquid gets into the condenser first and collects in the receiving flask. As long as the lower boiling liquid continues to distill, temperature will remain constant. After the lower boiling liquid has distilled off, the higher boiling liquid begin to distill and temperature will rise. The receiver will be immediately changed and higher boiling liquid is collected separately. The separately collected parts of the liquids, they are called fractions. Now the next method is separation by use of funnel. This method is applied when we want to separate a mixture of two or more immiscible liquids. Those liquids which do not dissolve into each other or those liquids which do not mix into each other, they are called immiscible liquid. A separating funnel is used to separate the mixture of liquid. And what is the separating funnel? A separating funnel is a glass bulb to the stem of which is fitted a stop cock or stopper. So as soon as you will pour the mixture of, suppose in this diagram I have shown the mixture of kerosene oil and the water. So when you will pour this mixture into the this funnel, then both of the liquids, they will settle into the different layers and you can easily separate through the stopcock. Now let us take the another method of separating the components of mixture, that is sublimation. Sublimation is transition of a substance directly from the solid to the gas state without passing through the liquid state. Thus by sublimation, a substance that sublimes can be separated from one that does not. For example, ammonium chloride can be separated from sand by this method. And I have shown this diagram in the figure also, and this is already given in the class 6 also and 7th also, it is being repeated. Now we will take the last method of separating the components of mixture, and that is chromatography. Chromatography in the simple word means color lighting. Chroma means color and graphy means writing. It was the first discovered by a Russian scientist in 1903, and it was being used primarily for separation of plant pigments such as chlorophyll. But now it is being used in the chemistry lab for the chemical analysis. So what is the definition of chromatography? A technique for the separation of a mixture by passing it in a solution or suspension through a medium in which the components move at different rates. This technique is used when all the components of a mixture are soluble in a solvent. Chromatography is based on the principle of adsorption. In adsorption, a substance called the adsorbate forms a layer on the surface of another called an adsorbent. Thank you for watching my video. Hope you will like all the important topics of this video and pen down it in your assignment copies. Thank you for watching my video.